Tonight on Special Report, we unfold the story of 9 mysterious deaths that have spanned Europe over the past few years. We have joining live Nathan Jackson with this dramatic report. We caution our viewers that these series of events may be disturbing.
Thank you, JD. I'm outside the home of the Frankensteins. The coroner just pronounced Caroline Frankenstein dead from scarlet fever. Elizabeth was by her side. Elizabeth was the adopted daughter of Caroline. It was Caroline's dying wish that Elizabeth would marry her son, Victor. Some of the neighbors I spoke with said that Caroline was a kind, caring woman that contracted scarlet fever from Elizabeth, who has recovered from the disease. Caroline leaves behind her husband, Alphonse, and 3 sons, Victor, Ernest, and William. I'm standing outside the woods in Geneva, Switzerland. Here in the woods, the police have recovered young William Frankenstein. The 5-year-old boy appears to be strangled to death. After interviewing witnesses, the police have taken into custody a young servant girl named Justine Moritz. Family members stated that Justine had taken care of William's mother during the battle with scarlet fever. However, forensic experts found William's locket in Justine's dress at the time of the strangling. Neighbors I spoke with stated that Justine was framed and that there was a tall, mysterious monster stalking William along the wooded path. No evidence of a monster was recovered by the CSI unit. I'm outside the courthouse chamber where the judges found Justine Moritz guilty of murder in the first degree of young William Frankenstein. Justine was a house servant in the house of the Frankensteins. You will recall that poor William Frankenstein was strangled in the woods outside the family home. Justine had a locket from William on her at the time of her arrest. I caught up with Justine in the hallway before the trial and asked her what her position was. She said calmly that she was not afraid to die. Members of the family refused to speak to us regarding the outcome of Justine's trial. However, I spoke to several witnesses that still hold their story of a monster murdering William and framing Justine. Others I spoke with stated that William's older brother, Victor, is feeling the blame for Justine's arrest and now conviction. Justine Moritz is scheduled to be executed in this evening for the murder. JD, now this is a real mystery. I've just come from the Chamonix police station, where I've interviewed both the police and forensic scientists regarding the human remains that just washed up on the shore of the river. From what witnesses have told me, these are remains of an unknown woman at this point. The police are assuming that this is one woman that has many parts, but the result from the DNA report has not been released as of today. One other point, the dumping point of the body was about 5 miles upriver, just outside the Orkney Islands University. I am in Scotland, JD, where I've just left Scotland Yard. The body of Henry Clerval has just been transported to the coroner's office for further examination. Clerval was the close companion to Victor Frankenstein. He was strangled. Mr. Clerval was fluent in many languages and had just been in the company of Frankenstein. In fact, he even nursed him back to health. Witnesses state that Frankenstein and Clerval had parted ways few days ago. So far, the police have taken Frankenstein into custody for questioning. I'm outside the honeymoon suite on Tulip Street in Geneva, Switzerland. Just last night, the Frankensteins were married. Victor Frankenstein married a lovely, gentle young lady named Elizabeth Lavenza. Elizabeth was taken in as a young child by Victor's mother, Caroline. Victor and Elizabeth were married at St. Mark's Church, just a few miles away. The celebration turned to tears this morning when police found Elizabeth strangled to death. Witnesses stated a tall, ominous man was seen after midnight running down the street in front of the hotel where the Frankensteins were staying. At this point, the police were asking everyone in the information on this murder to please call as soon as possible. Again, JD, I am outside the home of where the first death occurred in this special report. I have just learned that Alphonse Frankenstein has been rushed to the hospital. Paramedics at the scene placed Alphonse on life support as a formality until a doctor can declare him officially dead. Alphonse was a magistrate for the city of Geneva. He is described as a man of duty. He was found motionless, and witnesses stated that he had died of an apoplectic fit. This is probably brought on by the recent deaths of his wife, child, William, and his daughter-in-law, Elizabeth. Much tragedy has happened to this Frankenstein family. I'm out here freezing in the northern part of England, near the shipyards. On board the ship owned by Robert Walton, the police have just removed the dead body of Victor Frankenstein. Witnesses state that Victor became ill and died peacefully. The coroner at the scene labeled the cause of death is exhaustion. In some of Victor's parting words, Victor was heard as saying, "Seek happiness in tranquility and avoid ambition." Shipyard workers saw a tall, grotesque figure leave the boat. Some even have reported that the monster appeared to be weeping. JD, I'm huddled in the darkness in the northern extremity of the globe where the cross-country skiers have just reported the death of a frozen monster. They report that this man-like beast was tall and grotesque. Having been set on fire, the remains of this thing is nothing like we have ever seen before. It appears this man had sacrificed himself, witnesses tell me. Was this the monster in the previous killings? Could it be? You decide. Back to you, JD, in the studio.
Thank you, Nathan, for that special report. Now it's up to you, the audience, to decide. Is there a connection between the Frankenstein family and a monster? You decide. Until next time, I'm JD Voechting. Good night.